I warned you about the top. I warned you about our bottom here at 103,000. We're going to get a bounce. I told you it could be a big bounce. It could be a feeble bounce. I told you what I think. I told you I didn't think it'd flip my signals back to bullish. It didn't. And we had a rally, and we got a topping tail today, and it fizzled out. Rallied up 3%, and then we ended up closing 2% lower. Exactly what I told you was going to happen, that it was a feeble rally to the trend line of resistance that I told you about. You're going to go down lower. And if you can bounce off the 50-week moving average in the weekly time frame, you got a shot of a bigger recovery, counter trend, or if the bulls can retake control, the bigger rally can resume if we don't confirm a bear market. But the signals continue to nail it. Now, again, I think you're going to go down lower, and then I think you're going to try to bounce around the 50. But if you break the 50, then confirm a bear market immediately, then you're going to go a whole lot lower probably before you get the bounce like we did early 2022. I posted this chart. This is a chart I was showing you. I was talking about my Elliott wave count. I posted this chart today before the sell-off happened, showing that we had come right up to the trend line of resistance and stalled. This is what I talked about in my video yesterday. If you watched it, I just talked about the Elliott wave count. And again, I posted this. I got laughed at. I got mocked. Oh, gee, right again. Signals continue to nail it. Now, again, my signals warned me of a bounce, but I told you signals are still bearish. The momentum signals, scalping indicators told me, hey, we're going to get a bounce. But my trending signals are telling me it's going to fail. And again, I was reading the post when I was posting that this rally's going to fail. And again, made a few comments on some of the posts, and it just was completely mocked and laughed at. People are oblivious to what's going on. Again, I told you this is what I think is going on. This is the Elliott wave count that I think is happening. And that is that we have a wave 1 here, a wave 2. This is our 4-hour chart. I think the liquidation move was part of this larger wave 3. And I think wave 3 was right here. I think this liquidation right here, you have a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. I think that whole thing is wave 3. And then I think we've now completed wave 4, as I talked about in yesterday's update. And now I think we're getting wave 5. And I've marked that here for you. And oh, Pika, stink, and boo, what do? Turn down off of the trend line I warned you about. I told you we might go as high as the 200 period, but I warned you, hey, yesterday's video, either we're going to turn immediately or you're going to try to move towards this trend line. Talked about it at great length and detail. The last 2 videos, I talked about moving to the trend line. Where do we move to? Oh, the trend line. So I think you're now starting this final 5th wave down here. I think you're going to get a 5-leg push lower, and I think it'll look something like this. And I think you're going to come down to this trend line right here, and I think you're going to bottom around 100,000 going into the Fed meeting. I think the Fed will cut, and we'll see Bitcoin surge back up off of the 50-week moving average. You'll probably dip below it under 102,000. It's currently at 102,000. You'll probably find a bottom at 100,000 or 101,000. Here, I've marked it at the mid 100,000 area, and I put the Fibonacci extension levels. If you draw a parallel, if this is pointing to the next low, if this is pointing to the next bottom, then you have a perfectly parallel line up here to the 61.8 Fibonacci, to this area here. Hang on, it moved on me slightly here. If we bounce off this level, you go up here, you get an A, you break out of a bullish falling wedge, what I've been telling you, I think would form a bullish falling wedge. You break out, you pull back, and then you go higher, and I think you slam right into the 61.8 Fibonacci, just slightly higher from where we are over here, going back to the rally back over here after the liquidation move. I think you end up going sideways, and I think is what's going to happen is you're going to come down here, and then we're going to come back up, and the moon boys are going to go, it's an inverse head and shoulder. They never see the bearish patterns, but man, they see the bullish patterns. That's all they ever see. And I think they're going to have them say, but then I think you're going to go down, and you're going to start collapsing below this level. And if the 4-year cycle is going to play out, I think that's what's likely going to be the case. I think you're going to get your first waves down. I think you got these minor waves going on, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I talked about this in great length of detail. I think you get 5 right here. I think that's wave 1. I think you get an ABC for 2, and then I think you come back and break the 50. Now, if I'm wrong about this, bullish falling wedge setting up around the 50-week moving average, and I could be. Don't see my signals turn back to bullish around that 50-week moving average, bouncing off of it. And you break it, and you get a rebound towards it if you confirm a bear market. But this is what I think is likely the case. So I think you're getting wave 1, 2, and then I think you see the bottom fall out of Bitcoin later here in the fourth quarter, and I think you get that wave 3. So this is my Elliott wave count. I told you now in yesterday's video, if I'm wrong, if this is the bottom right here, then you're going to get that bigger retracement right now. I don't think that's going to be the case. Rejection at the 50 period moving average in the daily time frame, just under the 200 period here in the 4-hour time frame. You're getting rejection at the trend line. You're getting rejection at the purple line I've been showing you in this video. So again, I think the bounce that I predicted is likely now over. I told you I thought it'd be a feeble bounce. I think I'm going to be proven correct on that. Again, I'm giving you the bottom. Tell you this is where I think the bottom is probably going to be if we can bounce up to 50. Now, if I'm wrong about that and we close below the 50 and we confirm a bear market immediately, that's not good. That's going to be very bearish. If you bounce down here at the 100,000 area, just under the 50-week moving average or the 101,000 area, right in that range, I think these trend lines are likely pointing to the bottom. Then I think you're going to go back up and you're going to have this channel form. They're going to go a bull flag at the top that it fizzled out. It didn't play out. I don't think this one's going to play out either. 61.8 Fibonacci. This would take you to the 115, 116,000. If you go above it, you get your 78.6 Fibonacci at the 120,000 area. Should we go down and get another low, I think we will. Today's video, again, I think you're forming a bullish falling wedge here. I think you get one more push down into this trend line near the 50-week moving average, and then I think you rebound back up and get your counter trend probably towards 115 or 116,000 towards the 61.8 Fibonacci. The divergences here on the RSI on the 4-hour chart have been coined the turns on Bitcoin. This is how I predicted this rebound, but I told you I thought it would only be a feeble rebound. People over here with the liquidation that never saw the sell-off coming, they said, oh, it's over, it's over. And we went lower, and I told you I thought this would be the same thing. And I think you're going to end up getting this one more push down to form a bullish falling wedge. Then I think you're going to get a bull fake, a bull trap here that's going to fake everybody out, going to the 61.8 Fibonacci, maybe as high as the 78.6 Fibonacci, but more likely the 61.8 Fibonacci. I think you come back and break the 200, break the 50-week moving average. Again, right here, I think you go to the 50-week, I think you bounce, and I think you get your counter trend. The risk is that we confirm a bear market immediately. This took like many weeks. This took 4 weeks. You took out the 50, and then you got a counter trend, smaller one, and then you broke it. You got a bigger one after that. The risk is we do that you break it and get a bigger counter trend later. My guess is you're going to try to bounce off of the 50-week moving average, and I think it's going to trick a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to go, oh, bottom here, bottom here, bottom here, and bottom here. Very well could be the case if we can clear resistance, but I think it's going to suck a lot of the bulls in, and then you're going to go rally back up, and then you're going to end up seeing the bottom fall out of Bitcoin. All the reversal with this divergence, that was correct. Risk is we confirm a bear market by closing below the 50-week moving average. Going forward, I think you're going to probably bounce off of it and try to bottom. Currently, hovering in the 102,000 area. We hit a low at 103,000. I think you're going to take it out like you did over here, like you did over here and here. And I think you're going to take it out and bottom out on 100 or 101,000. Get back above, bounce off of it, and get your counter trend. We're going to sell off into the Fed meeting, and I think you're going to bottom with the Fed meeting next week and get a rally on that on hopes. Oh, here come the rate cuts. And again, the rate cuts are bearish. They're not bullish. The herd believes they're bullish, and that's why they're really confused and messed up with what's going on. They haven't been around long enough to know. 2020 and 2021 were an outlier. All the stimulus, that's not normally the way it works. Get the rate cuts because recession's about to start, and you're probably going to see the Fed do jumbo cuts by January, December, January, be happening, or into the first quarter there somewhere. If you include the shadows over here, you're hitting it. If you kind of exclude them here, we've right up to the trend line, and we remember I talked about back testing this black trend line from the April and May lows, and we back tested it here now, and we've overthrown it, and you've come up to the 50 and you've stalled there up to horizontal resistance, and we've stalled there, and we turned off of this trend line, and we turned off of this trend line. Now, again, on the 4-hour chart, in the 4-hour chart, I'm including the highs over here Going further back, which is what I showed you on the 4-hour chart here, if we exclude the shadows and take it there from the open, you have, again, an even tighter bullish falling wedge. So regardless, again, I think you've got a bullish falling wedge, but I'm taking it here in the daily time frame, excluding the shadow and from the back test of our trend line, which is what I told you was going to happen over and over again. And again, the rally did nothing to change the RSI, and the MACD is still negative. So again, I think you're coming down into this area at support above 98,000 and likely going to bottom in here, going into this trend line right here. And then I think you're going to surge back up and probably take out that trend line and move towards the 61.8 Fibonacci. Well, I predicted the bounce. I told you I thought it'd be a feeble bounce, and again, now it's done. And we're now seeing my signals, which are correct, turning back to bearish. Won't be final until the close on the Wednesday session, but we've started this session here. And again, the bounce that I predicted here is over, in my personal opinion. And the sell-off that I predicted here is now resuming, in my personal opinion. I think you're going down to the 100, 101,000 area, and then we'll see what happens. Again, do we end up confirming a bear market immediately below the 50-week moving average? We bounce, as I think we will. And then quickly, I warned you about the bullish bottoming signals, but I told you it was only going to be short-lived. I told you we're going to likely go back and take this level out. I talked about the example over here. You got a bullish signal here. Bars reverted back to bearish. It was nothing more than a counter trend. It was a big, powerful counter trend. It was the Powell rally that they told us, oh, it's over, here we go. And then we saw that big dramatic drop, as I warned you was going to happen with Powell's comments at Jackson Hole. Backtesting a broken trend line. Here we got the bullish signal. Bars have flipped back to bullish. Now they're flipping back to bearish. Final print won't be until the close. But again, we're likely now resuming the decline of the sell signal that we had back up at the top. Absolutely incredible signals. So we'll see if we can bottom around that 50-week moving average. I think you're going to get something like this where we try to bounce around it. I think you'll end up getting a bigger rally back up. But if I'm wrong about that, we confirm a bear market, you get a bigger drop, or you get any kind of meaningful rebound back up. And again, Bitcoin dropped 78% once the bear market was confirmed, 78% off of the peak with the diversions, which is what I told you we had back up at the top. So watch that 50-week, and then our trend line is below the 50-week. That would take us below 98,000. So again, there's risk that we do that, but you got a good shot that you might try to bounce surrounding 50-week moving average here and Bitcoin's average price. Support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like charts, you like indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. I thank you for your consideration for that. Watch the video all the way through. Oh, man, alive. Man alive. Bitcoin doing exactly what I said it would do, getting a feeble bounce. I warned you at 103,000, Bitcoin was going to bounce. We had the bullish divergences forming, and then I got confirmation of that. We got that bottoming too, and I told you I thought it was just going to be a feeble bounce. I told you I thought we were forming a bullish falling wedge. Sure looks like we are to me. And again, I told you the bounce here could have been more powerful, or it could have been a more feeble bounce, and it's more of a feeble bounce. Back to horizontal resistance, going back to the trend line, going up to just under the 50-period moving average, towards the 200 period on the 4-hour chart. And I made a video through the Elliott wave count, and I told you if I'm wrong, then we're bottoming right here. You get a bigger rally right now towards 121,000 or so. I told you if I'm right, we'll get a more feeble rally, and we'll get another leg down, and then we'll bottom around the 50-week moving average, as I keep saying. Why do I keep saying that? Because I believe that. Historically, that's what we've done. We pull back to the 50-period moving average, then we bottomed. I think you'll bounce. I think you'll get a counter trend, but I believe the top is in with Bitcoin. I think the 4-year cycle is playing out, as I've said at the top, as I said last week, as I've said this week. Oh, people don't want to hear that. I've got a problem. You see, I've got a real problem. Not like 95% of the crypto community. I'm objective and unbiased. 85% of the crypto community is biased. They're perma bulls, most of them. I got one guy furious at me for turning bearish. Why are you so bearish? My signals turn back to bearish. If my signals are bullish, I'll be bullish. If we clear resistance, I'll be bullish. We got rejection at resistance, and now my weekly signals are turning back to bearish. What do you want me to be? Perma bull moon boy? You want me to be a moon boy? Is that what you want? I am neither bull nor bear. I'm not interested in the bull side. I'm not interested in the bear side. I'm interested in the right side of the trade. I told you, again, we were going to get a bounce. I told you what I thought. I have the guts to tell you what I think. I told you I thought we'd get a bounce, and I thought we would get a feeble bounce. A whole video about it yesterday. I got, some guy all mad at me, wanting me to be blaming me for the sell-off. Look, hey, my signals turn bearish, I'm going to be bearish. My signals turn bullish, I'm going to be bullish. I'm neither bull nor bear. I am objective. And again, right now my signals are telling me to be bearish, so I'm going to be bearish. The April low, when everybody was saying we were going to crash, it's over for Bitcoin and it's over for crypto, I called a bottom because my signals said so. Because I have good indicators. If you watch my video, you know we've turned off major resistance. You know I warned at the top before the liquidation move ever happened and at the top on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And as we were rallying up into the high in early October, I was warning you we're gonna peak at that trend line. There was risk of moving back to 100,000. I went over it and over it. But the government shutdown, what happened then? And it's playing out exactly the same way. Up 10.5%, and then you're selling off. So far, we've dropped 18%. It's not over yet. But I got a real problem, you see, because I'm not biased. Now, I was looking at my Fibonacci extension levels. On you, the bullish case, if we can continue to clear, if we can clear resistance, hey, this is where we're going. These are where the Fibonacci extension levels are. This is what we've done in the past. But if we turn off of the resistance level, weekly time frame, which we did 3 times now, back here in July, in August, and now in October, then again, the bears are in control. Now doing that, we're flipping the weekly signals to bearish. It wants me to be bullish when my signals, which are correct, are telling me to be bearish. Now, if my signals turn back to bullish, I will be bullish. Bitcoin just closed right now, and we just now opened for the next session. But look what happened. We rallied back up to the 50. We rallied back up to the trend line. I talked about this in my last update. We rallied back up to resistance, and we turned there, the trend line of resistance. Remember I talked about that in the last couple of videos? Talked about, hey, if we could stall around these levels of resistance. And we did. We had our 3% rally, and we gave it back. I'll try to be quick here. I just want to show you what's going on. I wanted to show you this. We ended up giving it back. We had a topping tail. And again, we ended up closing down 2%, 1.99% after rallying up 3%. We gave that back, and then we ended up closing down 2% and gave back the previous day's rally. So again, and as I was posting my, during the rally, I was posting my 4-hour chart on X, formerly Twitter, here at Charting Prodigy on X. You can see right here. I was posting my 4-hour chart, just reading all this bullish stuff. Here we go. I talked about it being a feeble rally and a counter trend and turning off with this trend line. I made a post. You can go read it, and you could read everything I wrote, exactly what I've been saying in my videos. I did exactly what I thought would happen, and that would be a feeble rally. I think you're going to drop back below the 200 period here. I think you're going to go down to this trend line right here from these lows over here, and I think you're going to end up coming down here into the 100,000 area. I think you hit the 50-week moving average. Let me just bring up Bitcoin's average price, again, coming in under 102,000. I think you're going to hit Bitcoin's average price, probably dip below it and bottom out. I think you'll hit. This is where the bottom's going to be. I'm showing you where I believe the bottom's going to be. I'm showing you. Some guy all mad at me because he's some perma bull member of the herd. He's angry at me because my signals are bearish. At me because I correctly called this bounce and I correctly called that peak. My signals keep nailing the turns because I have good indicators. Absolutely incredible. I'm just a Western Union boy. I'm just telling you what my signals are telling me. But I'm telling you, here's the bottom right here. Here's the bottom. Now, again, you're going to bottom, bounce, and likely go back up to a Fibonacci retracement. and come back and break Bitcoin's average price, come back and break the 50-week moving average if the 4-year cycle holds, which I think it's going to. I keep saying it over and over. I could turn on a dime. Bullish if my signals are bullish. My signal's bullish, but I warned you. If we still have resistance, they can flip back to bearish. We turned as my signals correctly predicted. The weekly charts are bearish. And you got some dude wants me to be bullish. I'm telling you, I gave you this bottom. Gave you this bottom. Gave you this top. About these other bottoming signals at these lows and at these highs. The signals continue to be right. I'm telling you, this is where the bottom's going to be. We're going to get a bottom in all likelihood surrounding Bitcoin's average price and the 50-week moving average, and you're probably going to get a higher low above 98,000. Now, the risk is you break it. I don't think you're going to. I think you're going to get it. I could be wrong. I have the guts to tell you what I think. Just like I told you, I thought that would be a feeble rally. Oh, gee, I was right. Look at that ugly reversal topping tail there. I predicted the rally. Told you it's not going to last. Spent a whole video, 35 minutes yesterday, telling you it's not going to last. And yet I was right. And I'm going to try to keep this shorter. So again, great length of detail on the Elliott wave count yesterday. I'll touch on it briefly. But again, this is the resistance. Okay, this is a resistance. We're turning off of it. Okay, I warned you as we rallied into it, we were going to turn off of it. Warned you and have been warning you that the risk is the 4-year cycle comes to a conclusion at these resistance levels. Some people, they cherry pick what they want to hear. You know, I talk about both the bullish and bearish scenarios. I haven't confirmed a bear market yet, so the bull scenario is still very possible. If we confirm a bear market, then it's no longer possible. I warned you, it could end at these levels of resistance. And people cherry pick, oh, I'm bullish, so I want to hear the bullish things. So I'm going to tune out all the bearish things. This resistance and turning off of it and the warning signals my amazing indicators gave at that resistance level and in the weekly time frame. Then I present the bearish side, and then the bulls ignore that. I present the bullish side, and the bears ignore that. Again, I'm try to be very objective. And again, most people, 95% in the crypto community, are not objective. Most of them are biased. Most of them are a bunch of perma bulls. You got a couple of them are perma bears. You got about 5% of them that are objective. And that's why I have the ability to change on a dime. And I told you, if I see evidence that, again, a top is risk of happening, I'll let you know. I've let you know. And now some people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. We haven't confirmed a bear market yet, but we very well could. I think you're going to bounce, go higher, and I think in several more weeks from now, you'll finally confirm it. But I think there's going to be a bull trap first. That was a log scaling. Here's a linear scaling. Again, you're turning off at the trend line here from the 2017 high. Again, explain to me how this is bullish. Signals are validating it. I think you're going to bounce here. I think that you're going to dip just under the 50-period moving average, a 50-week moving average. It's currently at around the 102,000 area. I think you're going to dip below it, right around 100,000, 101,000. I think you'll bottom out, and then I think you're going to rally back up and get a counter trend, and I think you're going to come back and bust that level. Trend lines with the log and the linear scaling in the weekly time frame, my signals are turning back to bearish. The bars here turning back to bearish. Confirmation bars the previous 2 weeks of a reversal off of this level. I got some perma bull that wants me to remain bullish. Again, this tells me the bar's turning red. We're either going to get a pullback like these other pullbacks that have happened here. You're either going to get a pullback. For the bull market, the signal marked a reversal, the pullbacks, the pullbacks, the pullbacks. And again, now we're either pulling back or you're going to get a reversal. The reversal over here, you reversed. You got a 52% haircut in a couple of months. You rebounded back up, and then the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Now, again, I think we're going to try to bounce off the 50. If I'm wrong, and I always tell you what I think, if I'm wrong, then we get a bigger drop and then try to bounce, and it's possible it plays out that way. So again, I'm going to show you what I think. I think you're likely going to get a bounce off the 50-week moving average. The risk is we confirm a bear market immediately and get a bounce. Over here, we took out the 50-week moving average with this sell-off. then you got a bigger bounce. I think you'll get a bigger bounce off the 50, then go back and break it, but I could be wrong. Again, I got my weekly signals all turning back to bearish now, so explain to me why I'm supposed to be bullish. Again, I don't want to rule that out, the bullish scenario, until we confirm a bear market, and if we don't confirm it, then I'm open-minded to it. Again, we got to be objective. Again, what's going on right now either led to a bigger pullback, or a bear market. Weekly chart again. Again, I got a boatload of signals warning of a top. Again, since the top, I'm getting all these warning signs saying, hey, that I should be watching for a pullback or I should be watching for a reversal. And again, if we try to bounce around the 50, you can get a counter trend. And again, I'm wrong about that. We break it and then we rally back up to the 50 week, and that will be the counter trend. Showing you the Elliott wave count in this video. Again, you see the red circle up there at the trend line of resistance. This is telling me, hey, watch out. This is what happened at some of these other peaks. Look at the other peaks back over here in 2021. Look at the bottom down over here. The bottoming signal warned of a bottom. I have some guy that wants me to ignore my signals. Look at the bars. They turn back to red. They're going back and forth from red to blue, back to red. So again, this is telling us we're going sideways and there's risk of a bigger sell-off or a potential reversal. Right back up to, look at this. We rallied right back up to, turned right off the purple line. Look at this. When we dropped here back below the purple line, look what happened. It acted as resistance over and over again until you finally bottomed out. Look at this. We dropped below it, acted as resistance, acted as resistance. Now, we can get a bigger rebound if we try to go down and bounce off the 50-week moving average. The risk is you break the 50-week and you just keep going and you get something, a bigger sell-off like this before you get any kind of meaningful rebound. And there is that risk. People are in denial right now. But look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. Rally right up to it. Rejection. Rejection. Just like I previously showed you. In the uptrend, it was support. It acted as support. We went sideways here, and now it has become resistance. I warned you about the bullish divergence in the 4-hour time frame. I warned you about the bottoming signals, but I told you again, it's likely going to be a counter trend, much like the counter trends of the past downtrend. We'll see. Can we get that bigger rally off the 50-week, or do we have to break the 50-week and rally back towards it